we had announced that we had secured a contract working with the US Navy on operating, multiple vehicles in parallel. We just completed the latest round of exercises for Project Overmatch over in Port Hueneme, which is just outside Los Angeles.
Welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. Joining me now is the CEO of Ocean Power Technologies, Philipp Stratmann. And Philipp, good to see you again. How are you?
Doing well, Steve. Good to see you.
Yeah, so the company out with some news about operating several of your vehicles for the U.S. Navy, demonstrating what you call multi-domain operations. So tell me a little bit about this pretty exciting time.
Yeah, it is. And I think, as I recall, when we spoke earlier in the summer, we had announced that we had secured a contract working with the US Navy on operating, multiple vehicles in parallel. We just completed the latest round of exercises for Project Overmatch over in Port Hueneme, which is just outside Los Angeles. And we brought, several of our vehicles there and used them to work together with other USVs, other assets in the air, and a whole range of systems to be integrated. I think what's exciting for us is the fact that that is putting into practice the various demand signals that we see and what people are talking about, and converting that into direct revenue generation for the company and for our shareholders, and also delivering value to our defense and security customers.
Philipp, are you surprised at how quickly you're seeing the uptick on the defense side of things? Just you talked about the U.S., but also in the Middle East as well, and others.
Yeah, I think we've been fairly open about our expansion, into the Middle East and in other regions of the world where we see, particularly regions where we see a big overlay and overlap between, offshore energy and national security. So I think it's great to see that uptick. I wouldn't say we're overly surprised because the demand signals has been there for a while. I think what is finally happening is a realization that these systems are available, they're commercially available. It doesn't require a huge development cycle to get them into service. And people are now at that stage, and governments and customers in general are at that stage where they're going, you know what? I'm going to try some of these. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to run some demonstrations. And generally what we see is when we run these demonstrations, it leads very rapidly to discussions about follow-on contracts, what comes next. And then, as we've seen moving, as we've shown, it moves from like one short demonstration to then multiple vehicles in demonstration to then multiple vehicle orders. And we're finally starting to see that on the defense and security side.
Okay. You're going to be in the Middle East, actually, at Abu Dhabi for ADIPEC. Tell me about this conference. This is a big one, right?
Yeah, ADIPEC is probably, if not the world's biggest, probably one of the world's biggest offshore energy conferences that takes place in November every year. I think it's there's a huge contingent of companies that will be there, but given our recent announcements, the work with Unique Group taking our vehicle, the work with REMA International for defense efforts, the work with the Kuwaiti agency that we signed, and we've moved one of our vehicles to Unique, who are going to showcase the system at ADIPEC. So we're very excited on that side of the fence, and the Middle East is one of those regions where there is a big overlap between offshore energy and security. And I think this is where our systems exactly fit that mold. So we're very excited about being out there and not just showcasing that these systems exist, but actually advancing conversations and negotiations with potential customers.
Okay. I just want to ask you one last thing, Philipp. Governor Phil Murphy out of New Jersey has really been a proponent of supporting offshore wind, that industry specifically, especially where New Jersey is located. But this goes back, 2 or 3 years now that he's really been supporting this, especially for small, medium-sized businesses. So is there opportunity there for your company?
Yeah, we think there's absolutely opportunities. Actually, just this morning, Governor Murphy gave the keynote speech at the Offshore Wind Conference down in Atlantic City, which is in southern New Jersey. I think we're a member of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub that Equinor is running in Brooklyn in New York. So I think between that, we continue to work with the end customers and with the state agencies and with the federal entities behind the permitting, and making clear that there is a robust and available local supply chain that exist that can support these projects. And as they start moving from being talked about into permitting, and then, particularly things like mammal monitoring, vessel traffic management systems, and then later on inspection, repair, and maintenance, we stand ready to push into those markets and broaden that part of the offshore energy supply chain, which is starting to come to fruition in places outside of the traditional offshore energy spaces.
Oh, fascinating stuff. Philip, thank you so much. Good to update on everything. Enjoy the conference, and we'll get you back on as soon as we can, okay?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Philip Stratmann, the CEO of Ocean Power Technologies.